I'm going to tell you now that I don't have anything prepared. I wanted to write some things down so that I could stay focused. But one thing that I've noticed about when I write things down, okay, it actually takes away from the focus and the flow sometimes of spirit. And I never want to do that. But on the reverse side, I never want to be just rambling and going on too long and lose the attention of the very people that I'm hoping to speak to. So I'm going to go ahead and say, if I begin to ramble, guys, please forgive me. Um, but I ultimately hope that something that comes through this conversation, these channeled messages, will be activating for those who it's meant to be activating for. All right, so I'm going to hop into it. First of all, I am going to ask that if you are still watching, that you raise your hand if you've ever been sexually abused. I want to first extend my condolences to that part of you that was wounded, that wondered why it happened to you for so long or that it ever happened to you, even if it was one damn time. I want to apologize to that version of you that experienced that. But I also would like to offer some type of insight that I feel that my spirit team gave to me. First, let's go back to the beginning. I'd like to say that sexual energy is one of the most powerful energies in this world. It is an energy that is creative. Creative energy can also be chaotic, all over the place. And it creates and it destroys every time it is enacted. So, in essence, that experience activated something in you, but it also killed something else. For many of us, if you're like me, for a moment, I mean, it killed the innocence. It took away the veil from our eyes on the way that maybe at the time we were being taught that things were supposed to go, and even within our own minds and heart spaces, it killed the idea of the way we thought things were supposed to be. But it activated and it awakened something else. Okay. I'm not going to go into depth about what it awakened because it could be something different for each of us. For me, it activated both mentally first, by the way, concepts of promiscuity, but then also it caused me to also become prudish. And all of this was taking place in my mind first. There was a battle in my mind about which energy I wanted to exude moving forward. And I spent so much time by myself and in conversation with myself about who did I want to become now that this happened to me. At first, I didn't know what to think. When you're younger, you have no idea really how to process what happens to you. And because it happened multiple times for multiple people in my life, there was a moment where I was like, what's wrong with me? Is this supposed to be happening? This isn't supposed to be happening. I know that this isn't right, but why does it keep happening? And then there was even a moment where I began to play. I have to say this in all truth and in all honesty. There was a moment that after I had experienced things that I had experienced, I began to try to control the power myself, manipulate the power, turn it on and off. I had to be about 8, 9, 10 years old when I began to experiment with my ability to turn that sexual creative energy on and off by way of flirting, by way of literally something in my mind told me to do whatever my rendition of sexy was at 8. And I would turn that on, and I could feel myself turning it on. And any guy that was around at the time, who I was focusing that energy on to practice, I just watched to see if they would experience it or if they would feel it. And oftentimes they did, you guys. And it didn't matter that I was 8, or it didn't matter that I was 9. It didn't matter that I was 10 and didn't really know what the fuck I was getting myself into. It just mattered that I cut it on, and men responded, boys responded. I do not say that, in a proud manner, but I'm telling you a truth. I'm telling you a truth. And we are born with this power as women and men. We are born with the power. And I will say that I feel like religious teachings and or spiritual teachings, they are here to provide structure and to provide a safe space for us to honestly wield our powers, to learn more about them, to become educated about them before we begin to wield them, because there is nothing more dangerous than a powerful person moving without structure. There is nothing that is more destructive than that, to be honest. So I remember turning it on and off. And what happened was it got me in situations that I did not want to be in, first and foremost. Like, I didn't really want to bust no grapes. I wasn't really trying to do anything. I was just playing around. I was just practicing things. Now, when I initially experienced the abuse, it is not, I was not old enough. I was not even aware of the power that I held. Excuse me. When the abuse had initially taken place, I was not yet aware, nor was I, to my knowledge, practicing or engaging my energy in that way. Okay? That did not happen until after the activation, which I have to point out and say that my spirit team told me that that was an initiation that happened to me. They informed me that the sexual, well, what I know and what I understood was sexual abuse was actually my own initiation and activation into this realm, and it was very much so going to be a primal and foundational part of my mission here on the earth. And so this had to happen. This was not something that I could get around or miss. And it was so that I could be able to have a position of influence over the way that people perceive their traumatic experiences. So, and starting with myself. So I remember being young, and at first it evoked feelings of shame, dirtiness, and a rage within me. But it didn't express itself like that, actually. It eventually wound up expressing itself just as really dark thoughts that I had. I remember the lower vibrational energy of myself telling me that it was my fault that I had been abused, that I had become sick, that had been raped. But it started with molestation. It was my fault that there was something that I was personally doing to attract the people, each person, to me. But the way that it was saying it was in such an accusatory, derogatory way that will obviously make me want to be like, no, I wasn't. So there was this other version of myself that was like, you didn't deserve that. And no, you didn't. No, you didn't do anything to um, seduce or attract these people. There was something in them. And then the older, and I feel like that was what I needed to hear at the time because I was so young and trying to make sense of everything. But what spirit exposed to me and shared with me when I became older was that I absolutely did attract. I did. Not not by this energy of yeah, it wasn't yeah, come to me and all that kind of stuff. No. It was the raw, unfiltered, unenveloped energy that I possess when I came here in the earth. This is the way that was an attracting. It's almost like a magnet. Let me not even say almost, because I'm getting this right now. Give me a minute, guys. Sorry. Sorry if I'm fidgeting. It is like our souls, our energies, our energetic blueprints are magnets, okay? And it draws things to us. Anything that has whatever metal compounds need to exist for it to be attracted to the metal or the magnet, that is what you possess within you innately, okay? And so there are experiences that we magnetize to ourselves. And it continues to happen to open our awareness to the fact that we're able to magnetize in the first place. So, when I became of age, I learned about this back, I was 38. I was 38, which was just last year because I just made 39. My spirit team taught me that the experience that I did have there was an activating one. It activated in a way that it was used, or the attempt was to distort the power that was there, to cause it to be feared, to cause it to be twisted or perverted in a way that would cause me, the initiate, mm, that would cause me to seek answers about the experience. So that meant I was going to have questions. Why did this happen? Did I do something to make this happen? Did I want this? So, because that is what causes us to ask questions of the Most High God, which I look at as the universe, of our ancestors, of the energetic world. And when you are open for wisdom, when you want to know about a matter, all you have to do ever is ask in sincerity, and the universe is going to bring you the answers. So, what I found is that there were prolific and powerful. There were moments in my life because of this one isolated experience, or I don't want to say isolated because it became a pattern, but the initial experience, which was different from anything that I'd experienced in my time at that point on earth. It was so different, it shook me to my core. It made me question everything that initially I knew about myself without wonder, without concern for whether or not it was true. I just knew it. It just was. And so, because it was the truth about my energy, and it was, I embodied certain things. I embodied confidence, a confidence that older people who had been in the world a little bit longer than me wondered, where did you get this from? Like, you're this little bitty person in the world. You just got here. The audacity. And they weren't, and I don't believe that people did this like, you know, I feel that there were some people who were sincerely in awe, couldn't believe it. And then there were other people who, maybe through bitterness, maybe through unresolved traumas of their own, they may have frowned upon it. They may have had this, who you know, you ugly. Why do you think that who are you to be confident? You're 4, you're 5, you're a baby, you know? Why do you smile why do you smile so big and your teeth look the way that they do? Like, you surely is ugly, but you got this energy about yourself, like it's meant for you to be seen, to be heard, like you're the most beautiful person in the world. And it's because that was my energy always. That's how I came here. Like, I never knew that I was supposedly funny looking until other people started to project that energy onto me. And after a while, then I start looking at myself, because I heard it so much, so often. It's like, oh my God, okay. Because have you ever heard I don't know if it's considered a colloquialism, but I'm just going to say that for lack of a better term right now. Have you ever heard the phrase, if it's more than one person telling you a thing, maybe it's the truth, or like maybe you should listen? It's something along those lines. If you've ever heard that before, then I'm going to tell you that in the moment that my mind was shifted to begin to believe that that had to have been the truth, was because I had heard that before. Where if it's a lot of people saying and more than one person telling you, baby, it got to be something. Pay attention to it, right? So more than one person was telling me that I was ugly. More than one person was questioning my energy. But at the time, they could only go through what they saw as physical representations of this energy. So my whole face got talked about. My lips, my eyes. Those were the things that got talked about the most. My lips, which I now understand as an energetic thing. That's spiritual, baby. And that's the truth. Out of the mouth comes wisdom. It can also come dead. So ignorance, dark sayings also. And dark sayings are actually not sayings that are ignorance. They are profound, wise sayings that are covered and enveloped by ignorance. And so it makes it a riddle. It makes it something that appears to be one thing, but in all actuality, it's this thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And people didn't even know it. I have the ability to speak dark sayings, and I have the ability to reveal the mystery. Darkness also deals with mystery. Something that is cloaked, something that is hidden. So with that being said, I learned about this energy at 38. I learned that, yes, baby, you did bring this onto yourself as far as magnetize it to yourself, but it wasn't to harm you. It was always to activate you and to initiate you on this journey in life. It was a primary thing that you needed to experience because you needed to understand the way that a person's mind can be fractured and fragmented by traumatic experiences. Upon the moment that the traumatic experience happens, a person is forever shaped and changed. With that being said, if you have a person who undergoes so many traumatic experiences, they will be fragmented. And these traumatic experiences don't have to show up like something like sexual abuse. That was just one way. It could be verbal abuse. It could be attacks on your mind in a way where your sanity is questioned. Your intelligence, your brilliance, your creativity is often called into question. Thus, a person that has been traumatized by people trying to, and when I say people, let me not say people, an energy trying to test its strength. by a lie being projected onto the truth. That's a science project. That is a science project waiting to happen. And many of us are called to science because we're called to explore. Explore what, Jude? Explore yourself. Explore your mind. Because it is your mind that is the magnet drawing all these many-fold, manifold experiences to you, for you, so that you can understand the truth about who you are. In this incarnation, in the way that I have experienced this through the world, is that a mirror reflection, an illusion, seems to be projected, and I have to wade through the illusion with the truth. And because I fear not knowing the truth, it causes me to seek it desperately. When I say fear, understand that I mean it in all the ways. I mean, first and foremost, there is a profound respect, a profound honor, a profound knowing of the expense of the truth that causes me to fear it. First, respect it. And thus, the fear of that energy where you don't want to lose something. And when you don't want to lose something so much, you inevitably lose it so that you can seek for it over and over again. So I say all of that to say, because of how powerful I am, I had to create a reverse image to reflect myself back to me, but in a way that appears not right. It feels like it's the opposite of what I am. So if I'm pure, if I'm clean, if I'm valuable, then this powerful, most powerful mirror that would cause me on one hand to both believe it and on the other hand not to, it had to be something that was all the same energy. It had to be the same energy as me, covered, concealed, hidden. And now what seems to be the reverse of me. But in fact, it is what I come from. It's not a reversal. It's not something totally separated. They exist one within the other, and that is darkness and light. That is knowledge and ignorance. The one thing that can drive out ignorance is knowledge. And the one thing that can drive out knowledge is ignorance. You understand what I'm saying? I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. I've already spoken for so long. I'm going to put a pin in this moment. I will continue to record though, so that I can get all the downloads that Spirit has, but I'm going to wrap it up here. Ultimately, what I'm going to move more into in the next few clips, hopefully, I'm going to talk about the power of sex, and I'm going to talk about those who often have these experiences that are traumatic around sex. It is meant to assist you, not to harm you as much as we may think it is, okay? Even when people pass from this life because of traumatic experiences that have happened to them, understand that for those who are left behind, it is activated. And on a cosmic level, your energy was in agreement that this would happen so that it can wake up the masses, so that it can help to remove ignorance and bring knowledge and awareness around energies that exist. And so when these things happen to you in your life, and they will continue to happen, and they won't always show up like sex, obviously, right? But let's say that there's another experience that harms you, you feel like it hurts you to your core, wounds you, breaks your heart in some kind of way. Before asking, why did it happen to me? Or I'm not going to say before, this can happen in any one of those ways, and it's understandable. What I would like to encourage you to always do though, is after you ask all those questions, be sure that you are asking for, what is the lesson in this? What am I supposed to find out, Spirit? What are you trying to teach me and show me about me or about this energy? And be patient, because the answers will show up. And a lot of times it can show up as other experiences, or it shows up in your thoughts. All right, you guys, I have to go. My baby is waking up. Peace, love, light, and darkness, which all work together to bring balance and harmony, first within ourselves and then within our world. Bye, you guys.